Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader. Today, I will be reading a short story titled A Fairy Tale Christmas by Manali Desai. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I have included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A Fairy Tale Christmas. And that's how the elves helped the shoemaker, and the shoemaker too returned them with a favor to show his gratitude. Saying so, Mrs. Adams closed the book from which she had been reading out, when she kissed Chris on the forehead and said, "Good night," the question she had been expecting came up. "Mom, but why did the elves not come back after that?" asked Chris with a curiosity she had come to adore. "Because the shoemaker did not need their help any more. Now go to sleep. Tomorrow is the day you have been excited about from the past 3 weeks. And don't forget, if you don't sleep, Santa won't be able to drop off his special gifts." Chris nodded seriously and replied, "Okay, Mom. Good night." His mom walked out of the room and switched off the lights, closing the door behind her. Chris stared at the ceiling, going over the wonderful Christmas stories his mom had read out to him over the past few weeks. He slept with a smile on his face, excited for the coming day. His eyes opened with a jerk when someone tapped on his shoulder. "Hey, what you doing sleeping on Christmas Eve? Come join us for a little pre-celebration." Before Chris could respond, he was dragged out of his bed by someone whose hands were tinier than his own. Down the stairs and into the living room he went, holding the hand of a figure that looked like an elf. He was still wondering how an elf came to be in his bedroom when he looked around the living room sofa and saw a bunch of people seated on it. They were all looking at him and waving cheerfully. One of them got up, shook his hand, and said excitedly, "Chris, we have been waiting for you. I'm Papa Panov. Do you recognize me?" Of course he did. Papa Panov's Special Christmas had become his favorite story ever since his mom had read it out to him. Chris looked at Papa, nodded apprehensively, and looked around at the others. They all looked strangely familiar. A young man and woman who seemed to be a married couple waved to him and said, "Hi, Chris. We are Jim and Della." "Really? Jim and Della from The Gift of the Magi?" Chris thought to himself, and moved his eyes over to the remaining members of this peculiar gathering. The elf who had come to wake Chris was now standing with another elf alongside a middle-aged couple who were seated next to Jim and Della. All 4 of them smiled at Chris warmly as the man said, "Hey Chris, sorry about this one waking you up. He is a bit too enthusiastic when it comes to the festive season. Anyway, we couldn't let you miss the Christmas Eve magic." Chris could hardly believe it. How had characters from the stories his mother had been reading out to him come to be in his house? And what were they all doing here? Despite his skepticism and nervousness, he was excited to be meeting them. He smiled at them all and asked, "Wow! Have you come to celebrate Christmas with me?" In response, all of them unanimously pointed towards the Christmas tree, which Chris and his parents had finished decorating just hours ago. Chris turned to look at it and saw many gift boxes piled on top of each other and stacked at the foot of the tree. "Wow! When and how did these get here?" Chris asked out loud. The prospect of opening them right then lured him. But at that point, he was more thrilled about his guess. However, when he turned back to the sofa, it was empty. Heartbroken and suddenly quite drowsy, Chris walked back to his room dejectedly. The last thoughts before he closed his eyes again were of staying with the elves and the shoemaker, receiving the gift of the Magi, and of meeting Jesus, just like in Papa Panov's special Christmas. The next day, Chris woke up feeling a little miserable, but the thought of those gift boxes all waiting to be opened cheered him. He dashed out of his room to the Christmas tree and grabbed the first box he could reach. The card said, "With love, from Mom." He tore it open as quickly as he could, and out popped a few things that seemed like dolls. Oh no, they weren't dolls. His mom had got him figurines of 2 elves, a shoemaker with his wife, Papa Panov, and, of course, Jim and Della too. They were all there in his living room, smiling at him, just as they had done yesterday. Right then, his parents came to the room, hugged, and wished him a Merry Christmas. His mother saw that he had already opened one of the boxes, so she took the figurines and placed them on the table next to the sofa. He winked at them when his parents weren't looking, and they all winked back conspiratorially. It was going to be a Merry Christmas indeed. The end. The joy of festivals is for all ages, but the magic of it is felt by only those who still believe. The stories may be fictional, but isn't life better if we believe in them just a little bit? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.